Plant Power with Mawethu will show you the chemistry of life through food that goes from the ground to the body.
Welcome to Plant Power with Mawethu. This is your media host, where you are, hashtag where you are. This is Plant Power with Mawethu. Our guest today is Portia Shaba. Going to talk about all things plant-based, but mainly running a plant-based food business. Portia Shaba runs a plant-based shop that is based in Midrand called the Health and Wellness Pot. To tell us all about it, please welcome our guest. Portia, welcome.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me here. I am excited to talk about all things plant-based eating. So I am a retired chemical engineer running a plant-based food business in Midrand. We are called Soul Portions Cafe. That's the operation in Midrand. And we offer prepared meals for homes, schools, and corporates. So what we are doing is encouraging our people to eat more healthier, to make more healthier choices for better health. And the reason I started this business was to make plant-based food accessible, as it is very, very elite right now, which discourages the ordinary citizens, right? I personally started eating this way about 16 years ago. And it was long before plant-based eating became a trend. So we did not have many options, and the frustrations when it came to eating out and buying food just got to me. So I started preparing food in my own kitchen. I catered for my colleagues, and I used them as my recipe testers. And eventually I decided it's time to do this on a full-time basis, because more and more people need to have this opportunity to eat healthy. There's nothing elite about eating healthy. There's nothing expensive about eating healthy. So we have to get the food to the people and get the people to see and understand that eating food in its natural state is as affordable as anything can be. So that's what our business is about. And I hope through this vehicle, we can reach more and more of our people.
No, that's great stuff, great stuff, great stuff. So you say it's been 16 years. Wow.
Yeah.
No. You're definitely far longer than I've been in this journey. But just to give us a bit of background about who is Portia Shaba, where is Portia from, and what inspired the switch? Because if you say 16, then you definitely didn't grow up plant-based. Something might have inspired the switch. So tell us a bit about your background, where you're from, and how the switch from being an engineer to being a in this space, how that came about.
Yeah, I would say that I have always been a very picky eater, and I got that from my mother. Even when I was eating meat, I was very particular about what kind of meat and where I ate it. So when I got to university, I got exposed to a whole lot. And of course, my own health also played a role in my decision. I grew up on aspirin. I had very severe migraines as a young girl. And when I learned about what other things actually impact things like that, and of course, attending seminars on campus and hearing about these things, one gets to be enlightened. But it didn't happen overnight. I remember one discussion that was not very polite with one gentleman about the issues of meat eating. I was very passionate. I was very passionate. So I just told him where to get off. But this one time I came into the dining hall and I told my mates, listen, this week I'm going to be vegetarian. I was so excited about it, but I had no plan. As to what was going to happen after that 1 week, I didn't know. So that week, I had my first dinner with them. And of course, it was only natural that they mocked me. No, what are you doing? This is crazy. But I was just so determined. So I told them, listen, because I want to do this thing, this whole week, I'm going to take my food to my room. And that's exactly what I did. I took all my meals to my room so that I can have my vegetarian week. And then on a Sunday, at the end of that week, at the dining hall, they used to prepare fried chicken. Right. I still remember it very, very well because that Sunday, I had the chicken and that was the most awful thing ever. And that's it. I went cold turkey. I never went back and I did not have any withdrawal symptoms. Some people go on and off, on and off. But that was it. I just went cold turkey and that was the end. So that was the last time I had meat. Chicken, of course, because that's all I really ate. I was never into red meat.
Yeah.
And I decided then to start empowering myself because there was not much to eat in the dining hall. They didn't really cater for that. So at the end of that year, I decided to move into self-catering so that I can start preparing my own meals, learn more and more of these things. And that's what I did. My passion grew. And by the time I left varsity, I was teaching others how to prepare vegetarian food. Of course, I was studying engineering, but I was studying chemical engineering, but my after-hours hobby was cooking, right? And I took that with me into industry. And I did the same thing when I got to work. After hours, I'd cook because I just wanted to get this idea out that vegetarian food or plant-based food is not dull. It's not just about boiling and adding salt. Nothing has to be drowned in water. Nothing has to be drowned in oil.
Yeah.
You can have those beans and they will still taste so good if you prepare them well. So that's what drives me, to show the ordinary girl, the ordinary mom in a village somewhere that they can eat plant-based.
No, perfect. I'm actually glad that you talk about the whole creativity around preparing your meals, because I think the greatest frustration or the biggest frustration of people is how to put your meals together. I mean, I know when I started the journey, I mean, I was very limited. I'm not even gonna start talking about when I started going out as to which places to go to. But I mean, with the internet today, with social media, that has actually helped us to understand that basically it's not as difficult as people make it out to be. I'm also happy that you point out the fact that there was a health aspect to it, because what we do not understand is that our daily intake of carcinogenic foods actually have got a dire effect on our health. You talk about the fact that you were eating chicken, and there's this perception that it's a healthier type of meat, but I mean it can still be attributed to a lot of ailments. And once you switch from that and go to plants, you immediately see the difference. I mean, with you, I'm sure, with you having those frequent headaches, I mean, that was just inflammation. And when you switch over to anti-inflammatory foods, you then saw the immediate switch. Now after the switch, let's get back to you having to go home from university during semester breaks. How do you then get family to understand this new you? How do you then, your social circles, you've got friends, I mean, this is, during our time, this is not something that is known of. There is not something that is totally understood. Something is, I mean, how did you get around that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Now, when I went home after deciding, the only challenge I experienced was with my brother. I mean, my mother, as I said, raised us on more like a vegetarian diet because we ate a lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
So vegetables were not something that was foreign in our home.
Yeah.
Right. But my brother was he was affected. I don't know why. Because I mean, I was not asking the whole family to be vegetarian.
Yeah.
Right. But here I am, I'm coming in and I'm saying, I don't eat meat anymore. I don't eat any animal products anymore. And he's like, have you gone mad? Like, seriously, you just go to varsity and you come back and now all of a sudden you don't eat anything because people believe you don't eat anything. Like, what do you eat? You don't eat
That's the
meat.
thing. Yeah, that's the
What do
thing.
you eat? But my mother embraced that because you know what? If my life was in danger and somebody
Yeah.
said to me, "Who can you bet on that can save you?" It's my mother.
Yeah.
If you can go to my mother's house right now, you will not find meat. Like for real, my mother lives on
Can I move in,
vegetables.
please?
Like literally, that's what my mother lives on.
Yeah.
Right. So she was just as glad, meat in our home was not like a staple. And the truth is, that's how it was in African homes before we decided we are woke. Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you'd have chickens in the yard, you'd have goats or sheep or cows, but it's not like people were slaughtering every weekend.
True.
Do you understand that?
True.
The whole week people were eating vegetables.
Yeah.
And if anything, people would slaughter a chicken on a Sunday. Right. But the idea that Africans live on meat, you must eat meat because we are Africans. Come on, how often were we slaughtering anything? So we ate mainly plant-based. And that is the reason we had these big yards and we were planting. Our grannies were planting all sorts of things. Right. So yes, of course, there was my brother there and my mates at varsity. But eventually they came around. I mean, we are still friends now. And whenever we meet for a meal, they'll ask me, "So, are you still plant-based?" Like they're waiting for that day when I tell them, "Guys, I'm back."
Yeah.
But that's never gonna happen because I no longer have to carry aspirin with me.
Yep.
I am free from that. Right. When I have a headache, I understand where it comes from. And then I will sit and ask myself, what is it that I didn't do today?
Yeah.
Did I drink sufficient water? Did I get enough fresh air? Was I out there walking enough? I get to assess why I have a headache now.
Yeah.
I don't run for the aspirin as a way out. And I must say that when you start paying attention to what you eat, you are more inclined to start paying attention to the signals your body give you.
Yep.
So as soon as there is something you're feeling, you take cognizance of that and then you start asking yourself, what is it that I have not done right? What is it that I'm missing? You don't necessarily rush off to get something that will address the symptom.
No, definitely. So, in short, it is actually fair to say being vegan is actually a preventative lifestyle. You do not wait to be reactionary to to your health. So you prevent a lot of ailments. You're actually extremely proactive about it. But also is, how do we then get people to understand that it is not just diet? It is that nutrition is supposed to be a priority for people. It's almost like a lifesaver. You need to it's like people have got medical aid, right?
Yeah.
I'm off the grid. I'm not on medical aid. But my insurance is to make sure that every day I invest in my well-being. Because what happens is that the body's got the powerful ability to heal itself. But how do you get that right? You need to equip it with the right tools, which is nutrition. You need to feed it what it needs to consume daily. So if you do not do that, then obviously you disadvantage it. You create a terrible environment for it to get to a point of fighting and self-healing. So I think this is also one of the key drivers of this initiative of Plant Power. Having you guys in studio to actually let's get it out there. Let's teach people that what, the body is an amazing thing, but you need to equip it. You need to equip it. I'm glad that you talk about the fact that you don't have to worry about aspirins anymore, because if you put aspirins in your body, you're actually getting it on dependent mode. It's like you're saying to it, I will hurt you with what I eat, but then if there's pain, then it's fine. There's a drug I'm going to put in. I will hurt you with what I eat, but then again, there's a drug that I'm going to put in. but then you're killing your whole biochemistry, whereas with food that you eat, you restore it to great wellness, So yeah, I think there was just us briefly touching on the background, but let's get into the business side of things. I'll tell you, I'm very limited in choices. So if I have to go out, I'm thinking, okay, Doppio Zero's got vegan pantry. Then I'll think this shop, that shop. But then I get to the restaurant and I'll be like, okay, can you please put this together for me? Can you please put together mushrooms for me? Can you please put together avocados for me? Can you please put together this? And then when your food comes and you're like, you know what? This is just for the sake of it because I'm out, I don't want to be this funny human. But to be honest, there's a great need for people in the space who specialize in plant-based food retailing, because we're growing. There's a number of us out there, and we also want to dine out. Sometimes you don't want to cook. I should know that. I mean, if I go on Uber Eats, I should find you there. I should know that I'm ordering this, and within, because sometimes with work stresses, we get home late. So tell me, let's start with how it started, and then we'll get to the other parts of the business side of things.
Okay, all right. Now I'm glad you mentioned the element of nutrition, because that is one of the things that I decided to embark on before actually developing that very first plate. Right. So I went ahead while still working, and I did diet and nutrition, and I also did integrative nutrition. Right? Because for me, the idea was I want to eat whole. Right. And whole food is much more affordable as well than processed stuff. Right. If you look at today, it's easier to find an item that is said to be plant-based. It's very easy. It's everywhere. But most of those things are highly processed things, right? And very expensive, which become a turn off to somebody who wants to embrace the lifestyle, right? So the idea was to understand nutrition so that the meals you put together are whole. And in that way, then you are not just giving people an alternative to animal products, but you are giving them food that is healing. That is very, very key for me.
Yeah.
Right. And that is what Soul Portions food is all about. We want to create food that people can recognize, so that even if you do not buy a meal from us, you can recreate it. Because you can see the lentils there. You can see the chickpeas there. The ingredients are there for you to recreate meals in your own home.
Yeah.
And that makes plant-based eating easily accessible and affordable.
Yeah.
Because the lentils on their own are not expensive.
No, for sure.
It is this processed thing that we make out of the lentils that is expensive.
No, definitely. Sorry, sorry, just to quickly jump in there. In fact, what I've realized is that to buy lentils, chickpeas, and say other beans, I mean, with 200 rands, you can come back with a box full. Exactly. And then you've got almost a month and a half's worth of supply.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that means a family can actually live off a plant-based diet, right? Whereas with the processed stuff, you weigh your options and you say, but we're going to get 3-4 patties at 60 bucks, right? And we are 5 in this household.
Yep.
And this is going to be one meal, right? So people start thinking about these things, but this lifestyle is very expensive. With that 60 bucks, I can buy a kg of this that will last us for at least a week. They start thinking in that way, and you can't run away from that. The economics make sense for them.
Yeah.
60 bucks gets us a kg, and we will cook 3 meals out of that kg
Yeah.
of that particular thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas with you want me to buy 4 patties for 60 bucks. We are 6 in our home. Like, that's not affordable,
Yeah.
bro. But if you start empowering people and you say, you can purchase the lentils,
Yeah.
right? You already have the onions in your home.
Mm.
You probably have herbs as well in your home. This is how you can make that patty yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, use your lentils at home and put together your own patty in your home when you wish to have a patty. But the idea is it has moved from 60 bucks to probably 25 rands when you are doing that yourself,
Yeah.
right? And I think it's for me the main thing is to give power back to the people. We are responsible for our health.
Yep.
And we need to reclaim that. Our health is not in the hands of systems. It is
Yeah.
you who decides, right? But because we've been accustomed to the idea that no, there's certain classes of people who can do this, we can't, we must be this way or that way. It's easier for us to fall back,
Yeah. It's true.
you know,
Very
but
true.
there is vegetable stalls in the location at every corner. Why are they there? Because it's a cheaper way of living.
Mm.
Not because it's cheap in nutrition, but it's cheap economically. You can
Yeah.
buy the tomatoes, the onions, and the lentils and make yourself your curry, make yourself your soup. That's very nourishing.
True. Very true. Yeah. Look, but there's also this one thing when you think long term, I follow a lot of medical doctors who have switched over to a plant-based diet, where they say, are you going to pay now or pay later for the doctor?
Mhm.
So are you going to invest in good nutrition, or you're going to spend a lifetime living on medication? That's not, that's, even though we're all going to die, but that can't be life. You cannot day in, day out being on medication, drugging your body every day because there's this one decision that you do not want to take about your health. Yes, I understand that people need to be empowered more, but even those who are exposed to this thing, I mean, we grew up, you grew up in the townships, Ribona Marasta, those guys were eating meat. I mean, how often do you see Rasta saying they're going to the doctor? How often do you see Rastafarians saying they're taking their kids to the pediatrician's room? Some don't even know the pediatrician's room because of the lifestyle from home. I mean, they live you could say, a 95 to 100% plant-based lifestyle. We need to understand that with everything that we put in our bodies, it's either an investment or disinvestment into a long-term healthy life or wellness, but we talk holistic wellness. And like the fact that you mentioned whole food plant-based, because even the medical doctors I mentioned, they will tell you the principle of Hippocrates, the acclaimed father of medicine, who says, let food be thy medicine and let medicine be thy food. It has been proven scientifically that a whole food plant-based diet reverses coronary artery disease, reverses erectile dysfunction, reverses a number of cancers, whether it be breast, whether it be colon, but it just has been proven. You can go from type 2 diabetes to being pre-diabetic. Your organs function better. So you're not just eating. It's not just because you're hungry, but you're investing in your wellness. I don't know if you're familiar with the subject of the blue zones.
Yeah.
When I came across this blue zone study, I was like, okay, but ancient Africa should have been one of the blue zones because that is how we used to live. When you look at Okinawa in Japan, I think there's There's
Loma Linda in California.
yes. So with the Seventh Day Adventist, there's I think there's one in Greece. I just forgot.
Greece as well.
I think it's Ikaria in Greece, and there's one in Italy, and then there's so there's 5 of them. But I've specifically been focusing on Okinawa in Japan, where they are those people touch meat. They actually say it's probably 1 or 2% of the population that eats meat, and they eat meat probably once a month.
Wow.
The lifestyle is whole food, plant-based, but you see all the other things that are attributed to this long lifestyle actually start with what they eat. They sleep better. I mean, the gut is clean. Your gut has got your hormones. A lot of hormones are produced in your gut, like your serotonin, your melatonin. So those people live long. I mean, you get people 103 who's still walking and doing garden work. The most number of centenarian is actually in Costa Rica, which is also one of the blue zones. And I've seen your food, the food that you post on your social media. I mean, when you post them, it's exactly that diet, But it gets to a point of saying the food that is sold by Porsche, right? And then you must qualify it with a study, right? So there's someone who has published a study of the blue zones to say the lifestyle that these people are living actually coincides with the food that you sell, which is whole food, plant-based food, But how do we then just move from you just being a retailer, but to get to the educational part of it?
Yeah, I believe education is very, very key. That's what empowering people is about.
Yeah.
Right. Ultimately, I don't just do this to sell you a plate of food.
Yeah.
For me, it's the reason I did not quit my job to sell you a plate of food.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I gave my life to this work because I want to empower people. You need to be in a position to take those lentils and prepare that lentil soup yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And that is the reason I run cooking lessons.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I run cooking lessons. I go into communities. I educate people.
Yeah.
Because I believe that within our means, we can eat better.
Yeah.
Right. So going to people and showing them how to, because that's the very important thing, how to, so that people can actually see that it is possible to do this. I mean, if you have a granny who is living with 6 grandchildren and she's the only person in there who gets some form of income, right? She can't afford fancy things. The blender lifestyle that plant-based movement is about. Everything is blender. What is Gogo going to do with a blender? That's money.
True.
She can't spend money on that. But with the money she has, you can show her how to use it better so that they can have food for the whole month. What she can purchase, where she can purchase it, right?
True.
And then you show her how to put the food together in a very easy and straightforward way.
Yep.
The blender people are here. It's fine. Let the blender people in the city continue with blending.
Yep.
But there's no blending in the village, right? You teach Gogo how to make the soup.
Yep.
With the lentils, with the onions, with the tomatoes, the things that she has access to. Because I think we have taken away I don't want to say the power of choice. People will always have a power of choice. But I think we have made how we grew up look like was poverty. Now when you look back, it's like, I grew up in that state. That was poverty. Because now I think I'm educated.
Yeah.
Now that I went to university, now that I'm in the cities, I think I'm educated, right? And I look back at how I grew up and I think that was poverty. There was no poverty there.
Yep.
The living on plant-based food is not poverty.
True.
And because we've allowed ourselves to be conditioned into thinking it's poverty, now here in the cities, they're selling you the same lifestyle, very expensive.
Yep.
Very, very, very expensive. The same thing you were eating when you were growing up. Now it's packaged in a nice box or what have you, and it's super expensive.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to go back there. We need to re-educate ourselves, re-educate one another. Because it seems like in our quest of getting the education in the cities,
Yeah.
we have kind of become foolish.
Yeah.
Because the very things that were part of our bringing, we look upon now as poverty. You know, we grew up struggling. Just
Yeah.
because we were eating beans, we grew up struggling. Like, seriously? And today you're busy buying beans here for how much?
Exactly.
The same things. You're buying them, but because they come from a fancy shop now, it's not struggle, it's not poverty.
Yeah.
So yeah, I believe in the power of education
Yeah.
and that we should mobilize
Yeah.
and get into our communities with
Yeah.
practical education.
Yeah.
There will always be a need for packaged products and all that because, you know, some in the cities we don't have the time to
Yeah.
prepare and all that. So there will always be room for that, but we must never neglect the people who are not part of the city life
Yep. True.
because that's the majority of our people. So
True.
we have got to also reach out to them and
Yep.
teach and empower them.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, I don't know, I think it's my burden that we should all get to a point where we realize that there is nothing elite about this lifestyle.
Yep.
That just makes me so mad when it seems like only a certain class in
Yeah.
our community can
Yep.
eat plant-based.
Yep.
Only a certain class in our community can eat wholesome food. What for? When that stuff is there in the villages.
Mm.
We live around farms in the villages, so
Yeah.
why can't we eat that way?
Yep.
Right. So we need to change that mindset, to reframe our mindset and go
Yeah.
back to how it used to be, because
Yeah.
that is the real life.
True.
I mean, when we were growing up, the idea that you'd have a queue at the clinic like this long because everybody's here for this pill, that was not that rife.
Yeah.
Today, people are living off chronic medication, as it is called.
Yeah.
You go on to this medication for life.
Yeah.
You've got diabetes, or you've got BP. Or those things used to be rich man's disease.
Yeah. The king's disease.
Because they eat rich food.
Yeah.
Rich in a sense that's rich in fats, rich in sugar,
Yeah.
but void of nutrition.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have to go back there and realize, you know what, we didn't grow up like this.
Yeah.
This idea that we must pop pills all the time is not on. If an ailment is lifestyle related, why are we not making lifestyle changes to reverse this ailment?
That's actually a good thing. So here's the thing again is we respond with medicine to a nutritional problem. The fact that you mentioned that there are these long queues, clinics, people go in there for treatment. And all these diseases are as a result of bad nutrition. So it's as simple as responding with nutritional changes into your lifestyle. You know, you need to change what you eat. I mean, if you do not change what you eat, then unfortunately, you are scientifically dead. Literally, you're dead. There's nothing alive about you besides the fact that you're breathing. You know, so and I can attest to that because I grew up in DR, you know, in the Northern Cape. I'm from Kimberley, but I grew up in DR. I spent a greater part of my childhood in DR. I mean, even there, at my grandmother's house, it was not a thing to always eat meat. I mean, we grew up with sam and beans, and sometimes would have umpokoko, like uputu. You know, we would have, you know. So but what I've realized is that when I look at from my father's side, all of them passed on prematurely because of chronic ailments. You know, my grandmother lived until she was 90, but my father perished at 60, diabetes. His brother at 55, diabetes. His other brother at 50, diabetes. The last of the brother to pass on 60, 61, 62, cancer. Their sister passed on. Well, she lived a bit longer. She was 78, but she died of diabetes. So, and there's this thing that it's genetic, and I would say probably 10% we can attribute to genes, but let's also be honest about it. 95%, or if not more, is actually to do with what we eat. So when people become a bit affluent, the more educated you are, you're earning a bigger salary. Coming back to this thing where there's things you classify as poverty meals. You then want to switch from there. But also the thing is marketing, because you have got a television now that has got a food chain advertisement that shows you steaks, sausages, it shows you, ribs and chops and all of that. And then because your pocket allows, and then you think that, you've arrived, you can eat the king's food, and little do you know that that is where you actually invite the king's disease, If anything, I think it is time for us to go back to our old ways, There is no one in South Africa who can actually say historically they do not know of the lifestyle that we are talking about right now. Miroho, if you go to places like, because I did a lot of work in East Africa, between Kenya, Tanzania. You could actually see what people eat there. People eat a lot of lentils. People, meat is just something that is an added extra into the meal. People are still pretty much, they've not fully shifted from the ancient ways, and I think South Africa is probably one of the African countries that have got the SAD, SAD diet. I'll call it the SAD, the sickening African diet. And in the US, they call it the standard American diet. Because, and here's another thing. I know I'm talking a lot now. I'm taking over your show. just a quick one. What I've seen with your food also is that whole foods is high fiber foods. It's food I would consume any day. So there's also a problem of not eating enough fiber. People get sick. When you do not eat enough fiber, your gut suffers. Gut health is key, and people do not understand this. We think we need protein, but you've been 16 years now on a plant-based diet, and hey, you don't look like you're going to die anytime soon from protein deficiency. I'm an endurance athlete. I am not about to die from protein deficiency, So I also want us to have a specific focus to actually teach our people that you need to eat fiber. People suffer from your IBS. People have got all these gut issues, and I think your education, what I love about what you said about education is that you are teaching people, you have people who go to the bathroom once a week, or sometimes once every 2 weeks. That on its own is a red flag, It's these small things, these small warning signs that our people ignore. How do we, and if we go to our people, we must still go to the elite guys, because even the affluent make a lot of mistakes when they switch over to this lifestyle, which is why they probably last a month and like, no, this is not for me, because the problem with us, the so-called affluent people who have left the small towns, then hey, we listen to nobody. Like we like, I know I tried this out and it's not working for me. I'm going back to meat. The doctor said I'm lacking protein, I'm lacking iron, I'm lacking this, I'm lacking that, I'm lacking that. But all of these things that you get from animals are actually transported. You get them recycled because the original source is in the plants.
Yeah, I think the way the lifestyle has also been advertised in the recent years, now that eating plant-based or being vegan is a trend, has much to do with how people also perceive the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this.
Okay.
Some people eat the way they eat and they say it. I'm vegan for the animals, not for my health.
Yeah.
That for me is worrying.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
would not want to
Yep.
find myself in that position.
Yep.
Right. So as a result of that, we are vegan for the animals, not for our health. Right. So even the most unhealthiest plant-based vegan things are then pushed.
Yeah.
Right. So as some ordinary person looking in, you then start thinking, okay, plant-based or vegan food is fast food, really.
Yeah.
Right? Because that is what then we get to see often.
Yep.
And of course, once I've decided I'm only vegan for the animals, I eat everything and anything. So whatever I share is all these processed things.
Yeah.
Right. And they do more harm than any good.
True.
Right. So for my friend who is thinking of embracing the lifestyle, looking in, she's then thinking, yo, no, I'd rather eat the real thing.
You know?
Do you understand? The only
Yeah.
difference between these two is that one has animal food, animal products, the other doesn't, but it's all highly processed.
Yep.
Right. But once you've said to yourself, no, I'm only vegan for the animals, it doesn't matter because you are saying, well, no animal died from me eating this thing.
Yep. Yep.
But what about your health? And I
Yeah.
believe that once you price your health, once you value your health,
Yeah.
you become a compassionate human being
Yep.
to fellow humans and to your surroundings. And your surroundings include animals.
Yep.
Right? So if you start viewing your health in a more positive light, the other things will follow.
Yeah.
Right? And then you will embrace the real plant-based eating.
Yeah.
Not just highly processed and I don't know. I find these things very weird. But I think maybe it's also because of my background. I look at food and I ask myself, these beans, they were like this. And this is the product I'm given.
Yeah.
What was the process to get this product to be like this? So I apply my mind to these things.
Yeah.
And I start thinking, hell no. There is no way beans in their purest form can end up like this. So some things happened in between.
That's the engineer talking. Eh?
and unfortunately,
process.
Exactly. I think about it. Something happened in between to get the beans looking like this thing that looks and tastes like meat. So we have to go back to just basics.
Yeah.
Basics. If we can make a patty out of beans, then you should be able to do it in your home yourself.
True.
If it's made of real stuff, if it's made of real ingredients, you should be able to just make it at home, right?
Yep.
Because as you said about fiber, right? If you eat your beans, your legumes, you eat your sorghum, you eat your real oats.
Yeah.
Your real oats.
Yeah.
Right. And then you get things like bran to supplement your white pap, because not everybody can afford these things. We have to be very practical.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Right. If you start making these small changes, right, and you eat less and less of the processed stuff, the fried things. I know they are very nice. They are very nice on the tongue. but we
Yeah.
have to think about what it does to the body,
True.
right? And we make these small changes every day. We start eating healthier. You have your fruit, you have your veggies, you drink your water. You have got to go to the loo. Like,
Yeah.
this food you are eating, where's it going?
Yep.
Like, where is the waste going? We must dump the waste,
Mhm.
right? But now, if the waste is not going anywhere, what is it doing to you?
True.
Eventually, it's going to poison you. It's going to be
Yeah.
poisonous to your system,
Yep.
right? So, when you realize you're not going to the loo, you have to start looking at your plate.
Yep.
What am I eating?
Yep.
Am I drinking enough water?
Yeah.
Is the food I'm eating supplying me with fiber, or am I eating food that does not have fiber? Everything I'm eating is processed.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
it the rice, the pastas. We live off pizzas and burgers, but are we also eating whole food?
True. Whole food is always the key. It's a key thing to take away. Yeah. It needs to be whole food.
We need to eat whole food.
Yeah.
And eating whole food doesn't mean that you must eat food that does not have taste, food that
Yeah.
looks ugly. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah.
Right. So it's 2021. Last year, we found ourselves in very hectic situations due to COVID,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
You would have thought that eating healthy now was the gospel.
Yeah.
Like, you would have thought that
Yeah.
we'd be talking about how we must all eat healthy, but nobody's talking about that. We should be having movements all over the place. People thinking differently about food, people eating differently now, but nothing. There is nothing about that. Yet our immune system is very key.
True.
Very, very key. Winter is here.
Yep.
We are going to have people sniffing everywhere. All right.
True.
Whereas if we take people back and we start saying, let's start eating food to build our immune system,
Yep.
then we'd have fewer people sniffing everywhere. Because then we'd be building our immune systems through what we drink, through what we eat, right? We'd be getting enough sunshine. We'd be walking, do some form of exercise. But we are not talking about these things.
Yeah.
We are just talking about the mask and sanitizing of your hands and all that. But we have to talk to people about what they eat, because that is just as important.
No, true. And I think the whole disconnection between medicine and nutrition is a problem. A lot of medical doctors don't focus on nutrition, and a lot of nutritionists don't focus on the ailments that are there. So if you can harmonize the two, if you can create harmony between the two, then I think we will actually start having, more awareness. For instance, you make the food. We run these shows that talk about this lifestyle. You talk to athletes, you talk to even people in positions of power to understand that, wellness must be a priority. You need to have a healthy country. You need to have a healthy continent. It can't be that with everything that is out there, we are probably the most affected, always Africa. And people living in the villages have got access to land. But even now, there's options of, even if you don't have land, there's a way you can grow your food, or your food retailers. It's important that we all try to come together and create the awareness. So I just want to check. So with your space where you're in now, the actual the shop. So I would, if let's say if I'm around Midrand and I've got a meeting in the morning and I want breakfast, so I'll be catered for. And I happen to be there again in the afternoon, so I'll be catered for. So it's a whole all round thing, right?
Yeah, you can order breakfast through to dinner.
Yeah.
We publish our menu, so you get to see what's for breakfast, what's
Yeah.
for lunch. And of course, For now, you can still find us there, but we are moving to Johannesburg,
Okay.
and we are moving to a restaurant setup.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So you
Lovely,
can
lovely,
come
lovely.
and sit down and have a meal there. You can, on your way to a meeting, you can pop in.
Maybe I'll have one of my shows there one day. Eh?
You should. No, you definitely should. We can organize that.
Yeah.
We are moving to 27 boxes.
Oh, lovely. Because that's where the vegan markets are.
Exactly. We
I
are
mean, I
moving
always,
to-
I've been there a number of times. Yeah.
Yeah, so we are moving there. We will be launching in September.
Lovely, lovely.
So there you can walk in as and when. Right?
Okay.
But we will still continue with our dark kitchen operation.
Okay.
It's just that the whole operation then will move from Midrand
Okay.
to 27 boxes.
Oh, lovely.
And you can get your family dinner, you can get your team's meals.
Yeah.
You have a meeting in your office, we
Yeah.
can cater for you. You have a private function, we'll cater for you. We're still doing our kiddies cooking lessons
Okay.
because I believe in getting them young
Yep.
so that they start to understand and learn about food. And of course, we offer the adults as well, same lessons.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
So
lovely.
yeah, no, you can order your meals.
Yep.
We are still here in Midrand, so you can come through.
No, great stuff, great stuff. I'm actually glad that we've got these options now. I think the one thing that discourages people is accessibility, and people complain about, no, but the places we go to are extremely expensive. And I think it also goes, like, I think the conversation we had covers that today. And for me, like I always say to people, if it's whole foods, look at it differently. You're not going to go to the doctor for flu. I mean, I've not been to the doctor in 3 years. My body is starting to feel a bit weak. It gets to fighting mode because, I mean, I've equipped it with all the right tools to actually, get into defense and attack formation. I make sure I clean my gut daily. So that's great stuff, man. Great stuff. No, it was awesome to have you. I'm glad that I reached out and you agreed to this interview. Thank you very much. And yeah, no, definitely make a turn, not once, not twice, not thrice. And you definitely have a permanent customer in me. Thank you. Keep up the great work. It's not easy. I know. I mean, you get a lot of trolling. I mean, I don't know if you've had to deal with that. I have to deal with a lot of trolling. I have to deal, but I've grown thick skin in it. I've always understood that with change, comes a lot of those things. And there's friendly trolling, but there's quite aggressive trolling also from a couple of people. But I mean, mine is to just continue with this journey, to spread the message, to get people to understand that, they can take full control of their health and their well-being, and there's, like I said, food must always be understood and known to be your medicine. Let food be thy medicine. Maybe we must re-term it and say, let whole foods be thy medicine and medicine be whole foods. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Portia Shaba. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your time and love and peace. Thank you.